Hi, everyone. My name is Christa of Practical Astros. I'm here with Sonia and Shawna. We are three of the founding members of the Asteri Sofia Kairos collective, and wanted to welcome everybody to this week's weekly forecast. Hi, Sonia. Hi, Shawna.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. So we don't have much to talk about, and there's three of us. We're going to mostly talk about this one transit. It's on the Ides of March, and it's Mercury conjunct Mars, which feels very Ides of Marchy. So, what are your thoughts just about this moment for this week?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? We've got Mercury retrograding back. Going to retrograde back to 8 on the 20th.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's going to get back to that point where the North Node was with Venus on the Aquarius eclipse. So it feels like it's got all these memories of the past, like that eclipse point where it's going to travel to, but it's come from a trine with Jupiter, its ruler. So it's kind of carrying that message that it's got from that trine. That's nice, but it's got all those memories of the past, but it's met with like warrior Mars, like this gladiator figure that you've got here. And of course, it's ruling that Neptune Saturn conjunction in Aries that it can't see. So it's kind of ruling blind. Mars is ruling the Neptune Saturn. And Mercury is bringing the thoughts and the words and the communication to that. So it just makes me wonder, whenever I see Mercury and Mars together, you sort of think of like this war of words or a battle of words, and words being used as aggression, but also being used like it's better than violence, isn't it? Instead of war, that statement of instead of war, more jaw. So let's hope that there's some cooler, calmer heads, that the Mars element makes us think maybe there won't be, but at least if they're talking, they're not sending drones and bombs. I'd rather see people talking. I said this when Brexit was happening, and I was having discussions and people saying, well, they're arguing about bananas. And I was like, well, I'd rather they sat around tables arguing about bananas than we're fighting wars in Europe. And the EU is better because people are sat around a table arguing about bananas. You know, isn't that a good thing? It's like, why are we complaining that they were arguing about bananas? You know, because that's far better than what's gone on in the past. You know, and people have argued over borders with war. And this is what this is bringing up for me, I suppose, in that way. So I'm hoping with the Neptune Saturn having been the instigator of a lot of trouble and Uranus being shortly to move. I'm sorry, I've gone straight in with the heavy stuff there. But for us individually, yeah, so I'm hoping it will lead to some calmer heads, some strategic planning with Mars. Mars can be strategic, but both Mercury and Mars are a little bit out of their depths in Pisces. There's the greater visions, the hopes for the collective, but also it can be a bit dreamy, a bit, well, I'd really love to see it like this, or the artistic visions that come, the ideals, the hopes and dreams. But it's not always the practical plans. It's not always the Virgoan side of the opposite nature of Pisces, of here's the really granular plan. Here's exactly how it's going to work. It's what we've seen in Iran is that let's just go in and boom kind of attitude. And that doesn't work. As we know, that's been tried in history before and played out, and it hasn't worked well. So let's hope maybe that the ideas and the dreams that they're bringing in, Mercury gives voice to them now and looks to the past and wants to learn the lessons of the past and can maybe bring that to that aggression and energy and conflict nature of Mars, wanting to bring it down a level, wanting to bring it to the peace tables, to the round table of peace, and let's get talking. And on an individual level, it can mean stepping up in our communications with people on an individual level. We maybe want to take a minute, take a beat before you react to somebody who might be feeling this and might respond in a way that isn't really in their normal nature. They might say something that isn't normal for them or react aggressively. And we just want to give them a moment's grace, really, I suppose. What are your thoughts?
I mean, you kind of joked about diving right into all the old things, and I think that's really appropriate with Mercury in retrograde, right? I mean, we're going to go back, we're going to rethink, we're going to try to understand what was misunderstood before, and hopefully some new things come to the surface with this one. But You're absolutely right about the language. The language is gonna be feels like it's been boiling and bubbling up, and there's so much tension all over right now. But I think a lot of mental agitation is possible, and, with Mars being the planet of action and movement and cutting, there's, this way we can definitely act on something too quickly or maybe before thinking through things. Sharp cutting language can definitely be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but it's likely to be that irritated or agitated kind of a situation. I do feel like it's been building. I can feel the tension in the air and dealing with it. And I personally experienced kind of a relaxation or a release of some sort after that recent eclipse. And I've noticed that other people around me, there's kind of an uptick in that agitation. So I think we're bound to just see a bit more of that. And I hope that people find a way to confront things that maybe have been avoided or find a way to speak their truth. Things that have been simmering under the surface can be spoken.
Yeah, there's definitely that time when truth is spoken, isn't it? It's,
Mhm.
for good or bad, better or worse.
Yeah.
And I think just about like what we talk about, beware the Ides of March. The Ides
Mhm.
literally just mean the middle. So like the Ides of April are April 15th, the Ides of May are May 15th. But the Ides of March has this historical connection because of Brutus killing Caesar. So there's a sense of betrayal. And yet like if we think about just that story and what we know about it, and I think of Pisces season, when we're in Pisces season, we're looking ahead at the spring. So in a way, we're neither present nor we're like kind of in this liminal space. I read today about this word called ecotone, and it just talks about liminal spaces. So it's like being at a trailhead. You're kind of not quite on your hike, but not in the city anymore. You're in this ecotone space, this liminal space where things get really disrupted and you're disoriented or dysregulated when you're in those liminal spaces. And in Pisces season, it feels like an ecotone place. It feels like a liminal place because we're looking ahead at the spring, especially in the astrology world. We're looking ahead at the beginning of the zodiacal new year. And with that causes some reflection of what do I want to let go of? What do I want to change? What do I want to see with myself for this year? And part of that is sacrificing things that we want to let go of. And when Mars is here, it does kind of speak to that. What do I need to emotionally let go that's emotionally painful because Pisces is such a nostalgic sign? But Mars being here can join Mercury, which is retrograde. It can join the sun earlier in this month. And so it's got some sort of reflective message from Mercury anyway, and it's still having to go forward to push through until it goes through Pisces all the way to Aries with the beginning of the zodiacal year. So it's like this tension of being in a watery sign, not being able to go as fast and fiery as it maybe wants to. Same with Mercury. It can't be flighty and direct and airy. They're both saturated in water and they're having to just struggle to express their significations through that watery realm. And it involves nostalgia and reminiscing. And part of that means like letting go of things so that you have better speed and you can make more momentum and make more changes. And with that comes collateral damage of hurting each other's feelings and being maybe mean to other countries. I think that we should name this episode like the War of Bananas because it just feels like I would much rather be talking about bananas than every other thing. So it's like this. If we think of the sign of Pisces, it's two fish swimming in opposite directions. So we have this pull towards movement, towards the future, and this tug of movement towards the past. And that's kind of with Mercury retrograde and Mars forward. This is like that cross point when the fishes cross each other, but they're being pulled in different directions. And there's tension and there's emotion that's stirred up and it's difficult. And maybe there is a sense of, if you have a sense of wanting to let go of something that could look like betrayal to the other person you're letting go of. I mean, it could be miscommunication that causes that emotional unrest, but with these two planets together. So I like that it's happening in Pisces in one sense because we have enough active, aggressive Mars stuff going on in other areas of life. And in the Pisces realm, it's more of that emotional ecotone undercurrent place. It just feels like it will be more in the subconscious layer. The new moon in Pisces happens 3 days from now, and I think that new moon will also be colored by this moment here. So yeah, those are just my thoughts on it.
It's nice to see that the ruler is direct at last, isn't it? Jupiter in Cancer. So the whole sign of Pisces is making that trine to Jupiter in Cancer and just enjoying its ruler now being direct after a long time of retrograde. So Jupiter is able to support and say, come on, guys, that planetary parade that we've had through Pisces, and Pisces natives as well that have struggled with Saturn and Neptune being in that sign for so long, with Uranus there before that. And now finally they're sort of free of all of that, and they've just got this Mars transit, and then I guess Uranus will finally begin to square it when it moves in April. But they can now enjoy that last time of Jupiter being direct and the benefits that will flow from this trine from Cancer through to Pisces.
Yeah, and speaking of letting things go, this is the next chart we're going to talk about, because this is the official, unofficial last weekly forecast that we're going to be doing. We decided to compost this idea for a while and to try something out. So we're recording this. It's March 8th, so we'll release this on March 10th. And this will be the last weekly forecast and this sort of incarnation. You know, with the Tower card, it's about things that have been built up, and then you want to release them to see kind of what new things form. And when the Asteri Sofia Kairos Collective first came together, we came together on the Sabbats. We had little workshops and newsletters, and we really focused on the seasons. And that's what astrology is in some level, is like a study of life through seasons. And so we're going back to that, and we don't exactly know what that's going to look like. We'll still do video. It'll be a video format. We'll make little shorts of some of the more prominent transits for the weeks, but we aren't going to do these weeklies in the form that we've done it. And that's why there's 3 of us here, so that we can all kind of speak to that a little bit. And we want to invite the audience to share what they think that we should do. We don't want to take something away that is useful to people, but we're a tiny channel and we are busy people. And so it comes with juggling what we think people find useful and what actually is useful. The thing about doing transit stuff like this is, like, we talk about it and then it just dissipates, it goes away. And there's a lot of energy and effort that's put into it. And we just want to maximize our energy and efforts, because we do other things in the astrology world too. And then we have lives outside of the astrology containers. So thank you for watching the weeklies and engaging. If you have, I encourage you to follow us on YouTube and follow us on Substack, because that's where all the work that we do is mostly focused, and to give us some feedback of what you like, what you don't like. And we'll just go around and kind of talk about our experience with this, and then maybe what some ideas that we have planned. So Sonia, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And as always, as soon as we start these conversations about maybe composting it for a while and what we might do instead, people start giving more feedback. So thank you to everybody who's shared that they've been enjoying the weeklies, because it does help to know that you are, and that engagement is really important to us. So we're understanding what you're liking, and that's helping us form our plans for the future, leading us towards what we think you might like. So the more specific you can be about what you like, that's going to help us guide us forward. I'm going to be focusing mainly on astro meditation, because that's my jam. And these seasonal, this like wheel of the year, is kind of following the movements of the sun through these thresholds and gateways. So I'll be preparing an astro meditation for this movement of the sun through these places. So I hope you'll find that useful, and they'll be timeless. It will be astro inspired, but more on the decan and the bound and the sun's placement there than on the astrology of that particular day. So you can return to it at any time. So I'll make a year's worth at least, so you've got one to return to for each of those seasons. And aside from that, we'll see what form the rest of it takes. But it'll certainly be astrology and meditation based, and whatever else we can cook up.
Yeah, we get to do what we want.
Yes, yeah, we keep reminding ourselves of that we're not restricted. And if we don't feel that something's working, or it's not working for us time-wise or work-wise, then maybe it's time for a change, to allow that tower energy to come in, and then to see see what settles, what sticks and what doesn't. But we're still here. We're still going to be working and creating things for you. So that doesn't change. And we're still working together. That doesn't change either. And I don't think it ever will.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Actually, we're starting this here in the spring. You know, honoring the Sabbats is really just paying attention to the light, how much light we have and how much darkness we have, and they're all cycles. So I think it's wonderful that we're doing this change, you know, as we're starting to expand a little bit as far as springtime goes. You know, when nature becomes visible again, so are we. So I think this will just be a nice refresh, and we're all going to bring our own little focuses and sweet spots into it. And yeah, please do give us some feedback because we love talking about this. We love doing this work, and we love coming together to do that with you.
Yeah, some of the ideas that we've thrown around were because we did get some responses from people that we did tell that earlier on that we were going to be composting this idea, and they were like, well, I really like the weeklies. And, you know, Mandy Ray and I do a whole month forecast. And so we might take clips from that and kind of insert them for weeklies. Our plan is to get together on the Sabbats and talk about the astrology ahead. But instead of talking about 6 weeks worth of astrology, maybe you're into listening to that. You know, I mean, we definitely do listen to very long podcasts, but we also might clip some of those out for just to be like little clips here and there. And, you know, 2 to 3 to 10-minute long sections of larger conversations. So that's another thing. But if you like guidance, you know, we've put together workbooks before and sent them to our newsletters, you know, about the seasons. We put together all sorts of little things like crafts and recipes and ways to honor the seasons. Sonia does her meditations. I'm leading a deck and walk on Substack that follows this too. So like there's all these different projects that we put together. And if any of that interests you, just let us know. You can comment on the video. You can message us on Substack and just let us know what you would like because we're doing this as an expression of our astrological practices. But it's, you know, we don't want to just be speaking this out into a void. If there's an audience to hear it, then great. We will continue this work in this kind of container. And we want it to be a little bit more collaborative. So just share your thoughts, you know, what you think of. And we're still going to be doing this. And just the way that it looks like is changing. It's that fish shape. It's like we're doing some reflection of what we've done in the past. You know, this collective has been around for a couple of years now, and we're looking ahead to the future. We have that Mars Mercury tension of stirring things up, and it is a little sad to see it go away because we have worked so hard at making sure that we, you know, hit the deadline to get it posted. And Sonia has been the queen of editing and getting them out and pushing them out. And we've worked really hard on this. So it is a little bittersweet to see it go away. But also, it just gives us space. We sacrifice and we let go of what we have done so that we can see, well, what's the next phase of this going to be like? So thank you for walking this walk with us. And I hope that you will stay engaged and just let us know how, like, what you're doing in your part of the world for the Wheel of Time. That's kind of the best part of astrology is sharing all that. So with that, I guess we can wrap up. Shawna, do you have any final words before we sign off?
We have changed, and it's time for this to change too. So it'll
Yep.
be exciting and fun and still what we're passionate about. Yeah, and moving forward, surprise, surprise, it will be unfolding astrology for me.
Yay.
You can still find me on the socials at Smart Astro, but officially name changing to Unfolding Astrology. It just
I,
feels better.
I love it.
Uh, it feels right, and now's a good time. So thank you for both for putting up with my smart astrology. That's not going away, but we will unfold a lot more moving forward.
I told Shawna, I was like, you should just set up a camera and just like fold your laundry as you talk about the astrology transits. And just
And
like,
that may just happen.
you know, just like, because that's all we do when we think about astrology sometimes. We just kind of chew it over, just like as
Yeah,
we're doing our regular stuff. But unfolding is just such a beautiful image because that's what you do with it. It's like the astrology is there. You just see the revelation by revealing it, by flipping the
unwrapping.
page,
Yeah.
unwrapping it. Yeah.
And it's layers and layers that you can go into.
Mm-hmm.
There's rabbit holes.
Endless.
Yes. Yeah, it's a beautiful name change for you, Shawna.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
I love that for you.
Sonia, do you have any last words before we sign off?
Yeah, just that I've really loved the the work that we've done and what we've built with the weekly forecast. It's been a joy doing it. It really has. But yeah, I think you have to notice when it becomes a duty and a chore and speak that. And I think that's what it was starting to become for me. So it was time to recognize, okay, it's becoming a bit too much. It's pulling me away from other things that I needed. The timeline of the editing and the uploading and everything was just becoming a little bit too much for me. So yeah, it was time to speak that. And thank you both for your support in making these shifts that were necessary. So I really appreciate it. But I've really enjoyed so much that I've learned doing it. It's been such a, you don't want to use that word journey, but it's been so great for my astrology and for sharing astrology and for just talking about astrology in front of the camera. It has been great. And just thank you to everybody who's listened to us, because it was just us talking about astrology. It was really just that recognition that we talk about it anyway, so why not share it with other people who might be interested? And lo and behold, we were stunned that other people were. So thank you, each and every one.
And thanks to all the guests that came in and kind of guest hosted, and just all the support that everyone gave. I mean, the way that Sonia was talking about it becoming a chore, to me, like, that is the tower energy. Is like you spend a lot of time building something because you care about it and you want it to succeed. But then sometimes that success just gets to be, it feels like more of a burden than a product of pride if it's just habitual. And I think about, Mars corresponds to the tower in Tarot. Mars finds its joy in the sixth house of like just that daily grind. And so to release all that Mars energy, to release all that energy of what we do with these weeklies, we get to just disperse it into new things, and then new things get to sprout from all of that dispersed energy. So I'm looking forward to unfolding astrology. I'm looking forward to the evergreen meditation videos on the sun's journey. And I guess we'll wrap it up for here. Thank you everybody for listening. If you want to stay tuned after this, we're going to tack on about a 20-minute tarot reading I gave for the Pisces new moon that's happening on the 18th. So we won't have a weekly forecast for the 18th, but you can listen to the Pisces new moon for the rising signs. And then we'll be back at the end of the month with some sort of form of astrological forecasting, talking about the season. Around the 20th is when the sun goes into Aries. That's Easter, that's Ostara, and that's the turning of the wheel. And so with that, I guess we will sign off. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Christa of Practical Astros. I'm here for the Asteri Sofia Kairos Collective. I'm going to do some rising sign tarot readings for the Pisces new moon happening on March 10th. So we're going to start with Aries. For Aries, this new moon is happening in your 12th house of hermitage, solitude. It can be a little bit of a mental headspace, someplace that maybe you seek some refuge, some sort of restart in the shadows of the mind. And the card that comes up is the Hermit, perfect for a new moon in your 12th house. If you needed some sort of permission to stay home, retain and reserve your energy, have a little space just to yourself, have some quiet time for yourself, give your brain a bit of a rest where you don't have to make decisions or defend anything, but can really just recharge by yourself, whatever that means to you, whether it's going out into the woods alone or going someplace where no one knows you, staying at home, working in the yard. The Hermit card is the Virgo card it corresponds to, and Virgo is your sixth house of kind of that day-to-day grind. Maybe there's some sort of refuge that you can seek in doing something very mundane, like playing with animals or just being out in the yard, being out in your garden, maybe doing some physical labor. Aries is Mars ruled, and so there's a sense of channeling some energy, but doing something that is really just for yourself, and it gives you that quiet recharge for this Pisces new moon happening on the 18th. All right, the next one is going to be for Taurus. For Taurus, the Pisces new moon is happening in your 11th house. This is the house of hopes and dreams, mentors, larger community, the mycelium of connection. And the card that comes through is the Six of Coins, which is the middle degrees of Taurus. So I like this one for mutual aid, shared resources, asking for things that you need, and giving when you have enough to share. There's usually little regret when you were generous. And so finding some generosity with your community, with people that you look up to, asking for advice, connecting with mentors, or offering aid or support or advice for people that look up to you. This card is ruled by the moon, and the moon exalts in Taurus. And this is a new moon. So maybe there's some sort of new thing that you want to start that has to do with community work, reciprocal, mutual aid sort of a thing. This is a really positive card with the moon there, showing maybe the circumstances of working in your community, but having that new moon energy with Mercury in the North Node there could be some sort of message that comes through where you can be of aid or asking if you need it yourself. You know, there's no harm in asking, and the answer is always no until you ask. So with that, we will move over to Gemini. This new moon is happening in your 10th house, the house of visibility, the house often for people it's work and career. So for Gemini risings, the card that comes through is the Six of Wands. This is the middle degrees of Leo. This is ruled by Jupiter, by Decan, and then the sun rules Leo. This is a card of success. So if there was something going on at work and you wanted to maybe level up, ask for a raise, be a part of a new project, chances are you would have pretty good success with this. Jupiter will have been direct in Cancer, and so there's some forward movement. The moon here, new in your 10th house, shows the promise of maybe a new chapter that isn't affected by that kind of auspicious eclipse energy. So if there was something bold to go for in the career sector of your life or the visibility sector of your life, like how you're known, I would be a little bit bold for this new moon. That's actually really fun, Gemini. All right, Cancer. For Cancer risings, this new moon is happening in your 9th house. 9th house of higher vision, philosophy, religion, foreign travel. It's called the house of the god. The card that comes through is the Three of Wands. This is the middle decan of Aries. This is ruled by Mars by sign, but it's ruled by the sun by decan. And this really shows vision. It shows new vistas, new lands. The story with this card being early on in Aries shows that there's a lot of work and sacrifice that has come to get you to this point. And so maybe in your 9th house of belief, maybe you've really started some sort of new belief system, or being a little bit bold in the visions that you have in the realm of philosophy. Maybe some things in your sense of belief or just how you view the world has changed. And this card here is illuminating and bringing some messages on the new vistas that you get to determine if you're going to venture on, determine if you're going to explore. It really does give you some sort of sight of where to go from here. This to me is a very hopeful card that all the work and sacrifice that led you up to this point, you know, that you'll have some clarity and some of that soulful drive in that 9th house of higher thought. All right. So for Leos, this Pisces new moon is happening in your 8th house. This can be a house of shared resources, a house where, you know, things that happen really aren't always in your control, but you were karmically bound to it in some degree. This can be a house that feels very fated, like things happening to you. And so for the Pisces new moon, you get the Two of Wands. And the Two of Wands is the first decan of Aries. It's the first card of the zodiacal new year. We're going to be starting Aries season pretty soon, just a couple of days after this new moon here. And so maybe this is just the vision of the springtime for you. With the new moon happening in your 8th house, this is a house of how you are bonded to other people through fate and through karmic connections, and maybe just having some clarity on, you know, your own agency with the people that you were connected to. It is also a very hopeful card, being that first decan of Aries, but it's ruled by Mars twice, Mars by decan, Mars by domicile. And so there's a little bit of drive and agitation. Maybe with this Pisces new moon and with this card here, just gives you a little bit more agency so that you don't feel like things are happening to you, but seeking what sort of agency you can have in situations that maybe you had just surrendered to before. Say there's a large family discussion of what to do with a piece of property, or who is going to take care of an elder in your family. and you let other people have the conversation because you didn't feel like your voice really needed to be heard. I think this card encourages you to share your vision, speak your voice, and be a part of that conversation. Being karmically bound to people is not inherently a bad thing. It shows that we are connected through our relationships and through our love, but with that, we're not beholden to everyone else's whim. We do still have some negotiating power. All right, so for Virgos, this Pisces new moon is happening in your 7th house of relationships. It's happening in the western horizon of your chart. And so this really can speak to sometimes things that are happening around you, people around you. This card comes up as the 6 of Swords. This is the middle degrees of Aquarius. This card is ruled by Mercury by Decan and Saturn by domicile. And for Virgos, the new moon happening in your 7th house, but this card brings up the 6th house for you in your chart. And so I wonder if there is a sense of duty that maybe you have. Maybe this new moon is really affecting those people around you. It is maybe signaling some beginnings and endings, or rather endings and then beginnings of relationships. And that mercurial push and the sense of duty and care. Maybe you will be tending to someone who is ill or just needs some help. I think this new moon could be just a place where it's not necessarily about you this time, but your role in helping others. And so Virgos have a really beautiful sense of service. And that's what I see in this card here. You might have a call to service. All right, so we're going to move on to Libra. For Libra, this new moon is happening in your 6th house. And so what comes of this? Wow, you get the 3 of Wands too. So, like I said before, this has a sense of vision and the honoring of the sacrifice and work that has come to this point. And so maybe for Libra risings, there's been a bit of sacrifice to get to where you are now. And the focus in your work house shows that now that you have reached this point, there may be a choice of shifting, changing what you do day to day on a work basis. But also it's important to remember that you have done a lot to get to this point. Just having some compassion with the vision ahead. I see this new moon as maybe being a little tiresome for Libra risings, but you have the ability to receive that mercurial message through the North Node and really bringing it into just compassion for yourself and the work that you've done at this point. If it is tiring for you, I would recommend kind of what I recommended for the Pisces risings is self-care and rest. Or maybe that was the Aries risings. I haven't done Pisces yet. I did Aries. All right, so Scorpio risings, this is my clan. Scorpio, we get the Temperance card. Love this card. This card is Sagittarius. This Temperance card is about blending worlds together. And for Scorpio risings, Pisces is the 5th house of creativity and fun and pleasure. And this new moon for Scorpio risings being in the 5th house and then this card coming through suggests that maybe you should blend some worlds together and have fun with it. Be the mad scientist in an art studio. Be a little bold and adventurous, even just with the pleasures of food and joy and children and craft. I think this is a really sweet alchemical card happening in the 5th house of creativity. Now that Saturn has moved out of Pisces, moved out of that creative house, just having the freedom to kind of have some more space around the creative realm. And this new moon, being this first new moon without Saturn there, just feels a lot lighter. And now that Saturn isn't there, keeping things a little bit heavier, having the Temperance card, having that Sagittarian energy and having that blending alchemical energy of many worlds coming together between those 2 cups as being an invitation to just play. Love that for us Scorpio risings. All right, we're going to go to Sagittarius risings. This new moon is happening in your 4th house of home, that taproot, the anchor, and the Ace of Cups comes through. Aces are invitations. It is like a hand of God coming out and saying, here you go. What do you want to do with this? All of those little dots that are on it, they're called yads. And it's like this expression of energy that comes out. The cups correspond to elemental water. They can be that creative realm, that emotional realm. If things have felt heavy and maybe restrictive in the fourth house of home for Sagittarius risings, having this invitation for some new, fresh burst of water, this new emotional overflow, the invitation is to start something new. Pisces new moon, having Mercury in the North Node down there in that fourth house and having this Ace of Cups come and say, here you go, try this. I see this as kind of quenching some thirst for Sagittarius risings in the sector of the home, of just some sweetness, some new invitation for that watery realm. All right, so moving to Capricorn risings, this is happening in your third house. The moon rejoices in the third house, and so this new moon in Pisces in Capricorn is happening where the moon likes to be. So third house can be siblings, it can be local community, it's a house of locality. And the card that came up was the Four of Coins. This is the third decan of Capricorn. This is ruled by the Sun by decan and Saturn by domicile. And so this is bringing you the character in the story, the rising sign for Capricorn risings and the third house. So what sort of play do you have between you and your community, or you and your siblings, you and your sisterhood, you and your close friends, maybe revamping or deciding to take on a new role? The Four of Coins has this sense of banked wealth. Like you have so much to bring to your local community, so much to bring to your friend group. And maybe this new moon will be an invitation, or the circumstances will be that you were kind of called to be a new character. I like this just to give confidence to the Capricorn risings that you may find yourself in a new position of power within that third house theme. So, all right. Let's go Aquarius rising. Aquarius. So this Aquarius rising, the new moon is going to be happening in second house. And wow, that is gorgeous. We get the 10 of Cups. The 10 of Cups is where the new moon is happening. And so hopefully this is a new invitation or a new cycle, a new beginning of an uneclipsed new moon in your second house of skill, resources, money. Are you going to be learning something new? Are you going to be going to a workshop or meet someone that can help you out in that area of skill? Are you going to start a new job or get a new contract? You have this auspicious card saying that there is so much to gain from this auspicious new moon. So I think of all of them, just subjectively, Aquarius risings with this Pisces new moon in your second house and getting the 10 of Cups, you win. But let's go to Pisces. So Pisces, this is happening in your first house. This is your new moon. We have Mercury conjoined the North Node in this first house, but the North Node is far enough away where it's not going to eclipse you. So what can you begin? Look at that. Okay, so the moon corresponds to Pisces and the Golden Dawn correspondence. So one, we have the moon card, which is Pisces. We have this sun and moon, which looks like an eclipse anyway. It looks like a new moon. This really is just anchoring that you and the character in your story for this new moon, the message that comes through during that time is really for you. So maybe it's just a personalized message for every single Pisces rising. There's nothing external, or there's no addendum or adornment or filigree or accent that needs to come through. That this Pisces new moon is fully, unconditionally for you. So with that, what I would do for the Pisces new moon is find yourself some space to sit still and receive that message that Mercury will be receiving through that North Node connection, and the message that the sun and the moon will be sharing to each other. And how does that hit for you in your life? What new thing do you want to begin for yourself? And the benefit of it being in the first house is you can look to your second house of skill. You can look to your third house of community, your siblings or locality. You can look to your fourth house of home. You can look to your fifth house of creativity and pleasure. You can start anything new that has to do with you in relation to those other houses. You can look to your 12th house of solitude and sabbatical and refreshing. You can look at your 11th house of friends and mentors. You can look at your 10th house of career and visibility. You can look at any of those to say, how do I want to restart and reframe myself for this new moon? You can look at your fifth house of the day-to-day work or the realm of pets. You can look at your 7th house of relationships, marriage, partnerships. You can look to your 8th house of how you are karmically bound to other people, or you can look at your 9th house of a higher belief. You get to choose. This new moon in Pisces is a choose your own adventure new moon for you. So with that, thanks for sitting for these. Good luck to everyone on this new moon. It's happening on the 18th. And comment on the video below if you have new moon just in your own chart, or if you are a Pisces rising, or if you're an Aquarius rising and you get a job. We love to hear all the astrology good stories, but just share your journey, share your process, share your stuff, and we thank you.